Hello, Lee.
Right, let's have another episode of A Peek Inside. Will your home be up to scratch is today's topic of conversation.
It's a very important topic, and I would like people to really put their listening ears onto this one. Now, when we kicked off our real estate business here in Tassie about 5 years ago, the thing we noticed was that local buyers were a bit meh when it come to getting a building inspection as a condition of their purchase contract. It wasn't, I don't know, they just didn't seem to care too much. Now, having spent almost 15 years selling property in Queensland, the inclusion of a building inspection clause was basically automatic. To be more specific, a building and pest inspection. Now, the dreaded termite put the fear of God into just about all home buyers, and a thorough pest inspection was a safety net to see if there were any of the critters in the home or floating around nearby in scrap timbers or attached garden beds. Queensland's full of them, sadly. So when listing a home for sale, one of my most important questions to the owners would be, are you aware of any current or past termite activity in the home? And also I'd say, have you got approved termite barriers in place? Now, if the answer's a little bit iffy or the owners just weren't sure, I'd recommend a building and pest inspection to be undertaken by the owners prior to placing the property on the market. So if there were any hidden nasties, we could deal with them.
Yeah, perfect.
Sadly, not many chose to undertake that course of action. Now, this left the homeowner vulnerable. The worst thing for any home seller was once a contract was signed off and the building inspector rocked up and found current or past evidence of termite activity, the contract began to look very shaky. Most buyers would start backpedaling at a rate of knots, and it was at times a hell of a job to keep them in the game.
Yeah, I bet.
It was. So one deal stands out back then, and it was a home we were selling, and I specifically asked the owners at that time of listing the termite question. And they said, no, it's all good. We're good to go.
Happy days.
Happy days. Okay, great. So after an above average time on the market, just an aside, the husband knew more about the market than I did, but that's another story, I secured a buyer at a great price. And they were a nice young couple, finance was good to go, and obviously a building and pest inspection was required as part of the contract. So when it came time for the sellers to sign the contract, Mr. Seller said, oh, excellent, we've got the termite people coming tomorrow to check the barrier we had to put in. All life just drained from me. What the, you know what? You know, why didn't you tell me this earlier? Well, we had termites last year but found them and we got it sorted. I was just speechless. Now, this had to be declared immediately to the buyers and they nearly themselves. Long story short, my powers of persuasion and negotiation skills had to come to the fore, and I did end up getting the deal over the line. In the end, Mr. Seller barely batted an eyelid about this. He just
didn't care.
It was just like, oh yeah, water off a duck's back. Thankfully, termites aren't here in Tassie, but the question around building and structural integrity, it still exists around a home.
Yep.
And as I said, not many locals were calling for building inspections as a contract condition, but that has really started to change quickly as more mainlanders have begun to migrate here and want that condition in their contracts.
Yeah, just second nature by the sound of it.
It is.
Yeah.
It's becoming, just automatic, as it wasn't a few years ago. So minor and some not so minor issues began popping up in homes that were under contract, and the skills I had learned in Queensland to deal with these issues has really helped to keep deals together.
Yeah, good eye.
Now, my strong advice to anyone thinking about selling is consider having a pre-sale building inspection done so you can deal with anything that needs immediate attention and knock any doubt on the head that a potential buyer may have.
Yep.
Always ask yourself, when the time comes to sell, will my home stack up when the time comes for a buyer to get a building inspector in? It's a big question, something you should consider. Now, with mainland buyers probably representing around 50% of the buying market at the moment, my clients are very grateful that I speak fluent mainlander and mitigate any potential problems before they emerge.
Very good.
before we go, don't forget your free copy of my Home Seller's Handbook. Just go to our website, ulverstonrealestate.com, or check out our Facebook page.
Lovely, mate. Another peek inside with Craig Heppel at Ulverston Real Estate. We'll do it again in a week. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.